welcome back to my channel. It's Veggie V and
Resurrected Vegan,
my partner. So today I'm making a video about why I quit drinking. My partner is also a non-drinker, so he's gonna weigh in a little bit about his experience as well. But I'm just gonna start off by talking about how I got to this point. So I had an obsession with alcohol from a very young age. Probably like my freshman year of high school is when I really started to binge drink. So like 13, 13, I was a year younger than everyone in my grade. And then, 14, freshman year. So, at first it was like no big deal. But eventually when you're binge drinking like that, it always ends up having some pretty severe consequences in your life, right? Like I was partying all the time, I was skipping school, and I was not making good decisions for myself. And, fast forward a little bit and I get to college, and of course the drinking got worse. Like my first year I was such a nerd and I really wasn't partying very much, but after my first year of college I just started binge drinking again, and it completely destroyed my mental health, right? Like I already was prone to depression, and that was something that I was really struggling with from a young age. But the alcohol was making that 10 times worse, if not more. So, eventually I actually left college because my mental health was so severe, and I withdrew from school, which was really hard for me because I had an academic scholarship, and it was just really like a depressing time in my life, and a lot of that had to do with the drinking that I was doing. So I get back from college, I moved back to California, and I just started drinking even more because I was so depressed and not happy with my life. So I thought that drinking would at least keep my mind off of what was going on in my head. After about around a year of living this way, I started looking for answers. I started searching for something that would heal not only my depression, but my drinking issue, and just bring me to a higher level of existence. And that is when I stumbled upon my guru, Paramahamsa Sri Nityananda Paramashiva. I found him on YouTube, and I really resonated with his teachings. And someone I had knew from high school, her name is Prasida, aka the Kundalini Yogini. She was making videos on YouTube and posting a lot on Facebook about him, and I go, okay, like what better way than to reach out to her? She probably knows all about this. And so her and I got to talking, and I remember one of the very first things she asked me about when I told her like I was kind of going through depression was, do you drink? Like, are you a big drinker? And of course my answer was yes. And she kind of helped me understand what the alcohol was doing to my body. That does not mean I quit right away, but she kind of planted that seed in my mind that alcohol was really exacerbating my depression and was lowering my lifestyle and my decision making, and just making it really hard for me to be the person that I wanted to be. So I went to India. I attended 2 programs there with my guru. We call him Swamiji. And very quickly after coming back from India, well, one of the things that they taught us was to just not drink alcohol whatsoever after receiving Hey guys, sorry the battery on the camera died, but we're back. So anyways, one of the things that they taught us while we were in India, it was that you shouldn't drink under any circumstance. And the biggest reason for that is that it lowers your consciousness, your frequency, your spirit. When you drink, you enter into a very low space. You actually go to 1/3 human, or 1/3 of your normal life force energy, and you let other beings take control, especially when you black out. When you black out and you don't remember anything, it's because you're not the one in control of your body, something else is. And that really kind of freaked me out.
Yeah, definitely when you think about it, like, because there's so many times, and I know you guys have, all of your drinkers have been there, where you're like, dude, that wasn't me. There's no possible way I could have done that. Like, oh, that I didn't do that. I didn't sleep with that, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, I would never curse at that person. Like, so many things, and you're like, well, it probably wasn't you. And there's, I being a recovering alcoholic and 2 years sober now, thinking of all the times that there were just times where I'm like, that wasn't me. I swear I didn't do that. I would never do that. And it literally was like somebody took over control of us.
Yeah. And, you know, when I got back from India, I tried drinking like a few more times, and I got violently sick. Like, I wouldn't even be binge drinking. I'd have like 2 glasses of wine or 2 beers or something, and I would get violently sick like I never had before. And like the spins and anxiety, and it was horrible. And I just took that as a sign from existence that, you know, alcohol was no longer serving me, and that, you know, maybe one point in my life it was supposed to be there to teach me something, but it was no longer in my life, and no longer served me. So anyways, I was 21 at the time when all of this happened. So I was like freshly 21, and all of my friends, you know, I was younger than all of them. So I was like the last one to turn 21. They were all very excited for me to like be able to go out and drink finally. That's when I decided to stop, which is, it's really kind of funny. And it's really synchronistic too, because my friend Priscilla, who really guided me on my journey, my spiritual journey, she also quit drinking at 21. It was just really kind of funny how that ended up happening so synchronistically between our 2 lives. So anyways, like, you know, I'm 21 and I'm not drinking anymore, and that was really hard for me. And that's when I met this guy. I had no idea he was a non-drinker either. Like, when we first met, I assumed he drank, you know, because like everyone drinks. And he doesn't, no offense, my love, but you seem like
I was a party boy. Like, there's nothing to it. I was the party boy. I still had that image of being the party boy, because that's the only lifestyle I knew how to live. Yeah. I think is really what it comes down to.
Yeah, so, you know, I remember, how did we both figure it out that we both didn't drink?
Originally, I had told her, when I watched her video on YouTube, I reached out to her and I told her a little bit. I was like, yo, I'm a recovering alcoholic. I think at that time I'd only been about maybe 3 to 6 months sober. So I was still like very new. And I was like, I remember telling her, I was like, hey, this is gonna be my first concert sober.
Yeah, and on our first date. So.
On our first date, I was like, this is the first concert sober that I'm gonna go to. And she like said something, and like, I'd remember talking to her about not drinking, but even then, I remember when we got to the concert, I was like, would you like a drink or something? Just because, like she said, most people when you're dating, they're drinkers. Yeah. And it's something that has become so accustomed that you're always drinking. Like, here's a drink. Like, oh, you want to go on a date? Let's go get a drink. Let's go get a drink. And I think that's one reason why we did so well, is there was no alcohol ever involved in our relationship. Yeah. It was strictly, do I like you how I like you? Mm-hmm. There was none of the, hey, we got drunk our first night and hooked up and that was how it started. It was literally sober thoughts got us together and brought us together.
Yeah, and I think that's also a good point. Like, a lot of relationships start because of alcohol, and I'm not saying any of those relationships are meaningless or they don't count or that those people aren't really in love, but it is really a wonderful thing to connect with someone without that. And even if you are in a relationship and, you know, your favorite activity together is to drink, it's good to challenge yourself to have a really meaningful, beautiful time together without any alcohol. Not even one beer, not even 2 beers, like just no alcohol, and challenge yourself as a couple to do that. And I really think that our relationship, and I'm sure you can agree, this is the only relationship I've had that there has been 0 alcohol involved in the dating process. Because I think a lot of people do that when they're first dating because it's awkward.
It's the easiest way to get to know somebody. Like, let's go grab a drink. But if you're building your fun with somebody based upon them when they're not themselves, it's really difficult. Because I'm not gonna lie, like, drinking can make you seem like a funner person. Like, you're more outgoing, you're more crazy, but that's just because you're releasing drinking. Like, you can be that person on yourself. You can take the positive parts from drinking, the socialness, the willingness to try new things and experiment and talk to anyone. You can take those things and do it in your sober life. You don't need the power of alcohol or drugs or something to make you who you are. We just use those as crutches to get where we are.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it's been really a beautiful experience to build a relationship with someone and find someone who aligns with my values. And, you know, if you're out there watching this and you're like, oh, I would like to quit drinking too, I think that would be really good for me spiritually, or whatever the reason is why you might want to quit drinking. Trust me, once you do it, the right people will align for you.
And it is work. Like, don't get me wrong, it is work. But when you start seeing the benefits, and I think the biggest thing is that most people quit drinking for a month, they never allow the time to see the benefits of what's really happening. Like, quit for a couple months, let that alcohol fully get out of your system, your hormones and everything get back to normal before you start judging it. The first couple weeks do suck. You're like, what am I going to do with my life? Replace it with positive things. Replace it with something that you enjoyed doing as a child. When we were kids, we didn't have alcohol, and we had a blast, and we had fun all the time. Now as adults, we think we can't do anything without alcohol. Just think about what you did as a kid.
Yeah, and I think also, you know, I always tell him this all the time. Alcohol is something that a lot of people do when they're bored or they like have nothing else to do. So like, for instance, like Fridays and Saturdays is when a lot of people drink. And I mean, imagine if you use that time that you're out getting belligerent to like empower yourself or better yourself or push you forward somewhere in your life. I mean, that's a lot of time that you have to do something positive for yourself, you know, and really give yourself that attention that you deserve.
One of my old bosses said that, he's like, you know, you party pretty much every night, and he's like, if you take those times, you know, he's like, you're drunk 40 hours of a week. Literally, if you think about it, from the night when you get off, he's like, you're spending more time drunk than you are working. He's like, that's pretty crazy when you break down the numbers, that you've done more time drinking this month than you've done working. You know, and it's sort of crazy when you look at it that way. I'm like, dang, if I just cut out, you know, half the nights that I got drunk and did something positive, I could have another job, literally.
Yeah, it saves you a lot of money, a lot of time, and definitely elevates you spiritually. I've been off of alcohol for almost 1.5 years now, him going on 2.5 years. So we've both been through it, and we've come out on the other side and really seen how it's positively impacted us emotionally, spiritually, physically, all of the above. So with that, I think we're going to close this video. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to me, Veggie V, and
Resurrected Vegan.
Resurrected Vegan. We'll link his channel name below.
All right, bye.
Bye.